first thing I would like to do is to orient you to what you have in front of you. The first thing you have is the schedule, so that you will know in hard copy, you will know what school will be presenting next after you see a particular school. So that's your first item. Then you have a single page copy of last year's test scores for our elementary schools, middle schools, and high schools, so that you could be able to look at that as they talk about this year's scores. And then the large document that you have is a copy of each school's presentation that they will bring to you tonight. Yours is in color, mine and Mr. Brown's are in black and white because we were conserving there. So unless you have further questions, I would like for you to remember that on a hard copy in front of you, you have a district and 2015 and 2016. It's a black and white copy. And you have a 2015 line on the left hand and a 2016 line on the right hand. And at the bottom, you see my handwriting where it says accountability, and there's a strike through that. So that's what I want you to know that is gone. You will never see that again. The accountability tab has been taken off the school report card. So that information there, that's the last time that you will see this, because we're moving into a completely new system from this point on. At our next meeting, we will go into that. All of the scores that you will see tonight, including those on the single hard copies, are assessment scores only. So it's not an accountability score, it's an assessment score. The scores from the district that you received earlier this week from Mr. Brown, they have only the proficient and distinguished students together. That's the score that you have, because that's where we need to be. We only put the proficient and distinguished scores combined on those. So on this from this point on, we will only look at assessment scores, and that's the only tab that you will see on the school report card. So the schools are going to present their information to you as they wanted to. I don't want to tell them how to do that. We gave them a frame. They looked at what happened last year when they presented, or their predecessor presented. They're going to tell you the scores in each content area, and then they're going to tell you the why they did well, why maybe they didn't do so well, or any other information that they wish to share. And then they're on to the next steps, or how are they going to achieve proficiency with all students in their building. Some schools have chosen to use the apprentice score with their data. So if you see something that I gave you and there is a point or two difference in that particular thing, that school chose to use apprentice. I only gave you proficient and distinguished. So that would be the discrepancy if you see anything like that. Other than that, next month we will dive into the new accountability system, and the district will share our data with you as well as our preschool and the academy at Horizons, because we're all district programs. So we will present together at December meeting. So do you have any further questions until we start with our schools?
I would just like to remind the board and everybody else is that this is a different system than what you've been used to in the past. And it's very, I don't want to say not impossible, but almost very difficult to compare last year's scores with the information that you're getting this year, because it's not the same test, it's not the same type of data, and so you have to be very careful in doing that. Remember, this is last year and this year are baseline scores and on the new system, and so we don't want to compare. It's not apples and apples, it's apples and oranges, so just remember that. Now, there is some similarities, and I'm sure when the principals do their report to you all, they will point out some of the similarities and some things that they feel good about and some areas they want to do. And also remember that we have new principals in most of our buildings have new principals, and just remember where they were last year and where we are this year. So with that, Ms. Brown,
Bloomfield, you're up.
I I first want to apologize for being a little bit late. We had parent-teacher conferences tonight at Coxs Creek Elementary School, but I'm excited to be here now and share some of the great things that are going on at Coxs Creek, and also to hear about the great things that are going on in our district. The first thing I want to talk about is our reading assessment data. Reading is a strength for us at Coxs Creek Elementary. We are 61.4% proficient and distinguished. We are proud of lowering our number of novice in reading, and we're proud that in reading our number of proficient and distinguished continue to rise. In 3rd and 5th grade in reading, we received bonus points for having more distinguished than novice in reading. At Coxs Creek Elementary, we use something called guided reading, and what we do is we've learned that direct instruction and standing in front of a group of students and lecturing to them is not going to be effective. So during reading, everything is done during a small group center time. So students are always working in stations, but also having time to meet on their individual levels with their teachers. And a professional development that we have embarked on this year is the guided reading program. And just yesterday, coaches from the guided reading program come into our school and continue to work with us on reading and give us feedback and share strengths and weaknesses with us. So this is an area that we're proud of, but it's also an area that we want to continue to grow in. I've shared our reading trend data with you. And as you can see from this, and I've done it from 2014 up to 2017, we're proud that our number of novice continues to be on the decline, but at the same time, our proficient and distinguished is rising. So reading is a celebration for us at Coxs Creek. I also want to share our math KPREP data. Our math score is a 45.8% proficient and distinguished. So math, instead of being a strength, is a focus area for us. We did celebrate 3rd grade math. We were happy to see that we had more distinguished than novice in 3rd grade. With that, when I look at it, I will tell you what I see is I see that 41% at that apprentice level. And for me, what I think about that is I would call those bubble kids, those kids that are right there at that apprentice level, and we need to change something that we're doing for them in our Tier 1 instruction because they're there. So what is that little thing that they're missing that is going to get them to that next level? Because I know I believe and our teachers believe that they're there. What do they need? What is it going to take to get them to that proficiency? I missed the clicker training earlier, I think. This is our math trend data. With that, we're a little bit of everywhere. But our novice numbers, we would like to reduce those in math, and you can see our proficient and distinguished was rising up, and then we took a little bit of a dip this year. Social studies is also a celebration for us at Coxs Creek. We are excited that we had more distinguished than novice in the area of social studies. We had 64.6% proficient and distinguished. And here we're happy that our proficient and distinguished is on the rise, and you can see that level of proficiency going up. With social studies and really in all of our subject areas, I was a 5th grade social studies teacher at Foster Heights last year, and I know that something that we're really trying to work on is kids aren't going to learn about social studies from reading in a history book, and they've got to live it, they've got to experience it, they've got to be part of it. So we're really trying to implement the PBL and the student-led learning so that they are truly owning their learning. Writing is a focus area for us at Coxs Creek. We had 18.3% at novice. We are 39% proficient and distinguished. And right now we have 2.4 that are at distinguished. So I think, we're at that. What are we doing in our Tier 1 instruction to where we can focus on writing and make an improvement in that area? And I will say that writing is an area that we definitely need to improve and work on, but at the same time, we made a very big gain in writing this school year. And I know There's been a lot of changes at Coxs Creek as far as which teachers are teaching each grade level. There were a lot of switches done last year by Miss Diana Smith, but I do think our 5th grade has got a system in place now to really work on the on-demand writing aspect. Something that we have to do now, because this is the time that we're changing things for our kiddos, and this is the time that we're meeting their needs, is we have to look at their math data. So I've included that for you. We would like for all of our students to be at 80% proficiency. Right now, the grade level that we have that in is in 1st grade reading. And I think, math is something that we use because it aligns so closely with KPREP, and this kind of shows our strength is reading and our focus area is math. Some celebrations that we have at Coxs Creek is we've shown steady growth in reading and social studies over the last 4 years. Something else is we are already implementing a novice reduction plan. We have implemented our students, we have identified our students that are novice, and we are taking strides in order to meet their needs. We have 2 staff members who, that is their job all day long, is to meet with different students who scored a novice, pull them aside, work with them on that skill that they are showing a weakness in math or a weakness in social studies, and really differentiate that instruction because there's a gap there for some reason. So in order for them to be successful in their Tier 1 instruction, we got to figure out what little piece they missed. We work during a PLC time in order to identify our gap students. Our belief is that, yes, we want to make sure that we're meeting their needs instructionally, but it's also a relationship piece. So with our gap students, we're just trying to make intentional positive contacts. And those 2 staff members that I talked with you about, that's a big part of what they do, is they write a positive note on the agenda, sit with that student at lunch, but we feel that there needs to be someone in our school that student is excited to see every day, and it just makes them excited to come to school. So we've identified our gapped kiddos, and our focus is really just that positive relationship with them. During reading and math intervention time, we've taken our math data, and we have built groups based on ability so that we can really look at their needs and make sure that we're differentiating our instruction to meet those needs. And then each classroom teacher has a data dashboard that is constantly utilized in order to see how are they performing, how are they progressing, what's a strength, what's a weakness, and that way we can align that for our KPREP data. Our areas for growth at Coxs Creek are math, writing, and Tier 1 instruction. Coxs Creek has had a lot of changes in leadership. And with that, you kind of find that people are doing things just in the way that they know to do it because of a lack of consistency. So a big plan for us this year is we've got to all be on the same page about how we're doing things. So in math, we are piloting a program called Go Math. And with that, this is a program that's aligned with the standards, but there is also an individual student aspect of it that we use Chrome carts and desktops to utilize, and that's where teachers can go in and assign a skill that maybe was weak on a Chapter 1 test. They can use that as a formative assessment to go back through and reteach using that program. Another big change that we made this year is we've eliminated departmentalized instruction. We were spending a lot of time in hallways transitioning, and now every teacher is responsible for teaching every subject. And that leads to a lot of collaboration because teachers need to meet and plan together, but at the same time, we're not spending time moving from class to class anymore. In writing, we really try to focus on that universal system. I've been working a lot with Miss Stephanie Smith at Bloomfield. We both attended an ABLE and Atherton training on the on-demand writing. And with that, we can't expect our 5th grade teachers to be the only teachers that are teaching on-demand writing. It's got to be something that's scaffolded down all the way throughout our building. So we're using a system called the 3.8 for on-demand writing, and we are partnering that with Lucy Calkins in order to see hopefully some improvements in writing. We've also set new expectations for writing as far as every teacher should be doing an on-demand once a week in their classroom, and writing extends across everything. It's reading, it's math, it's science, it's social studies. We've set expectations for how often teachers should be doing extended responses and short answer practices. Something that we plan to implement in December is a live scoring where we take all of our 5th grade students down to the gym. And we have support staff and administrators and 5th grade teachers in there scoring as they do it, and that way they can have immediate feedback and they can see, okay, this is where we are on demand. A focus area for us at Coxs Creek is our Tier 1 instruction, and I kind of spoke to that. We have too many kiddos sitting in that apprentice range. So how are we going to change our instruction? How are we going to keep students engaged through PBL, through differentiation, through use of technology, so that we can bump some of those kids out of the apprentice mark? And I know that we have to have more rigorous instruction with a lot of our kids. I think they're almost there. But we've got to go deeper. We've got to get them to apply and take it to that next level because they're so close, and we've just got to bump them up to that proficiency. The last thing that we're going to do to assist with our growth is on Wednesday, KASC is coming and meeting with a leadership team of administrators and teachers, and they are going to work with us on our data disaggregation, and we're going to really focus on our gap and our growth and all these subject areas, and kind of build on to our plan of this is where we are, this is what it means, now what are we going to do to continue to grow? Any questions?
Can tell that you just came out of the classroom there.
Yeah, I miss being up here.
All right, thank you, Ms. Green.
All right, thank you.